The Art of Being Quiet. Summary of the book. Published by Audiobooks HUB. Introduction. The Power of Silence. Imagine walking into a room full of people, but instead of trying to dominate the conversation, you observe. You listen. You analyze. You notice things others don't. And then, when you finally speak, your words carry weight. People listen. This is the power of being quiet. Most of us are taught that being loud, outspoken, and assertive is the way to succeed. We believe that to be heard, we must talk more. But what if the opposite were true? What if true influence, wisdom, and power came from silence rather than noise? This book is a guide to mastering the art of being quiet. It is not about shyness, introversion, or retreating from the world. It is about using silence as a tool, one that enhances your communication, strengthens your presence, and deepens your understanding of the world. We live in an age of constant chatter. Social media, news, conversations, meetings, everyone is talking, but very few are listening. The result? Noise. Distraction. Superficiality. When you learn to be quiet, you cut through the chaos. You gain clarity. You begin to see opportunities, read people, and influence situations in ways that were previously invisible. This book is a condensed guide to a deeper understanding of silence. Each chapter will give you practical techniques, exercises, and insights on how to harness the power of quietness. By the end, you will not only understand why silence is powerful, you will know how to use it to your advantage. Chapter 1. The Hidden Strength of Silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is not weakness. It is a tool, a skill, that, when used correctly, can transform the way you interact with the world. Why people fear silence. Many people feel uncomfortable with silence. In conversations, they rush to fill pauses with words. In social situations, they speak just to avoid awkwardness. But why? Because silence reveals things. It creates space for deeper thoughts, real emotions, and hidden truths. And that can be unsettling. But those who master silence know its power. They understand that in stillness, they gain control of conversations, of their emotions, and of how others perceive them. The difference between being silent and being weak. Silence is often mistaken for passivity. But being quiet does not mean you are weak, it means you are deliberate. A person who speaks less but observes more holds an advantage over those who talk without thinking. Look at history's great leaders, thinkers, and strategists. Many of them were not the loudest in the room. Instead, they chose their words carefully. They listened. They waited. And when they finally spoke, their words had impact. Practical exercise, the power of a pause. Try this simple exercise. The next time you are in a conversation, resist the urge to respond immediately. Instead, take a deep breath. Pause for 3 seconds before speaking. Observe how the other person reacts. Notice how your words feel more intentional, more controlled. By practicing pauses, you train yourself to think before speaking. You also make others pay more attention to what you say. the first step to mastering silence. Being quiet is not about suppressing your voice. It is about using it wisely. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to how much you talk versus how much you listen. Notice when you speak out of habit rather than necessity. In the next chapter, we will explore how silence can make you a more powerful communicator, not by saying more, but by saying less. Chapter 2. How silence makes you a more powerful communicator. Most people believe that good communication is about speaking well. But true mastery of communication comes not from speaking more, but from speaking less, at the right moments, with the right intent. Why people who talk less are heard more. Have you ever noticed that when a usually quiet person speaks, everyone listens? This is because they don't waste words. Their silence builds anticipation. People assume that if they are speaking, what they have to say must be important. On the other hand, those who talk constantly often dilute their own message. When every thought is spoken aloud, none of them seem special. The role of silence in conversations. Silence can be used to command attention. Pausing before responding makes people eager to hear what you will say. Control the flow. Instead of reacting instantly, let silence create space. This often makes others reveal more than they intended. Increase your influence. Those who listen more and speak strategically appear more intelligent, wise, and trustworthy. Practical exercise. Master the art of the strategic pause. Try this in your next conversation. When asked a question, pause for 3 to 5 seconds before answering. Observe how this pause creates tension and makes people more engaged. Use pauses when making a point. This forces others to absorb your words. The hidden advantage of not reacting immediately. In arguments or negotiations, silence is a secret weapon. When someone challenges you, the instinct is to respond immediately. But what if you didn't? Instead of defending yourself, stay quiet. Let the other person fill the silence. You will notice that they often soften their stance or reveal more than they intended. This technique is often used by skilled negotiators, leaders, and interviewers. Speak less, say more. Silence doesn't mean not speaking at all. It means choosing your words carefully. When you speak with intention, your words gain impact. In the next chapter, we will explore how silence can be used to understand people better, by observing, listening, and reading between the lines. Chapter 3. The power of listening, understanding more by saying less. Most people listen to respond. Few listen to understand. Those who master silence know that true power comes not from talking, but from absorbing information, reading between the lines, and hearing what isn't being said. Why most people are bad listeners? Think about the last conversation you had. Were you truly listening, or were you waiting for your turn to speak? Most people do the latter. They focus on their own thoughts, formulating their next sentence rather than fully absorbing what the other person is saying. This makes them miss important details, emotions, and hidden messages. How silence makes you a better listener. By staying quiet and focused, you pick up on subtleties. Tone, body language, and pauses reveal more than words. Let others reveal more. People feel uncomfortable with silence and often continue talking, giving you valuable insights. Earn trust. Being a good listener makes people respect and confide in you. Practical exercise, the 70/30ths rule. For your next conversation, apply the 70/30ths rule. Listen 70% of the time. Speak only 30%. When you do speak, ask open-ended questions to encourage the other person to share more. This shift in balance will make your conversations deeper, more meaningful, and more revealing. Reading between the lines. Not all communication is verbal. Silence allows you to notice things others ignore. A slight hesitation before answering. A forced smile hiding discomfort. A contradiction between words and tone. These subtle clues give you an advantage in understanding people's true thoughts and intentions. How great leaders and negotiators use silence. The best leaders and negotiators know that silence is a tool. They let others speak first. They allow long pauses. They listen not just to words, but to what is left unsaid. Next time you are in a discussion, resist the urge to interrupt or fill silences. Let them stretch. Watch how people react. You will be surprised at how much they reveal. In the next chapter, we will explore how silence can help you control emotions, stay calm, and project confidence in any situation. Chapter 4. The Silent Mind, Using Silence to Control Your Emotions. Emotional control is one of the greatest advantages of mastering silence. When you learn to be still, both physically and mentally, you gain the power to manage your reactions, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and project unshakable confidence. Why people struggle with emotional control. Many people react instantly to situations without thinking. Someone says something offensive, and they snap back. A problem arises, and they panic. These automatic reactions are driven by emotion rather than logic. But those who understand the power of silence pause before reacting. They take a breath. They think. And as a result, they make better decisions. The power of the silent pause. A moment of silence can prevent regret. Before reacting emotionally, try this. When you feel triggered, stop. Take a deep breath and count to 3. Observe your emotions without acting on them. By simply adding a pause, you interrupt your automatic reaction and give yourself time to choose a better response. How silence helps you stay calm in difficult situations. Silence creates space for clarity. When faced with conflict, uncertainty, or stress, staying quiet allows you to avoid escalating conflicts. Many arguments spiral out of control because people respond emotionally without thinking. Silence prevents this. Observe instead of react. You gain more information by watching rather than engaging. Maintain control over yourself in the situation. The person who stays calm holds the real power. Practical exercise, the 5-second rule for emotional control. Next time you feel anger, frustration, or anxiety building up, do this. Close your mouth. Breathe in deeply for 5 seconds. Exhale slowly. Repeat if necessary. By keeping silent and focusing on your breath, you prevent emotional outbursts and maintain composure. the unshakable presence of a quiet mind. Think about the people who command the most respect. They rarely react impulsively. Instead, they remain calm, composed, and in control. This presence is developed through the mastery of silence, not just external silence, but inner silence as well. In the next chapter, we will explore how silence can be used as a tool for deep thinking, problem solving, and creative breakthroughs. Chapter 5. Silence as a tool for deep thinking and creativity. In a world filled with distractions, true deep thinking has become rare. Most people fill every moment with noise, social media, conversations, or background music. But silence is where real insights, creative breakthroughs, and problem-solving abilities emerge. Why noise kills deep thinking? Our brains need quiet time to process information, form new ideas, and make connections. Constant stimulation prevents this. Studies show that when we are always bombarded with noise, our ability to focus and think deeply declines. Silence, on the other hand, allows our minds to process complex problems more effectively, make unexpected connections between ideas, generate creative solutions. How great thinkers use silence. Many of history's greatest minds valued solitude and silence. Albert Einstein took long, silent walks to think through problems. Leonardo da Vinci spent hours in silent observation to fuel his creativity. Steve Jobs was known for his ability to sit in silence and deeply reflect before making big decisions. Practical exercise, the daily silence break. If you want to improve your thinking, try this simple habit. Find 10 to 15 minutes each day to sit in complete silence. Remove all distractions. No phone, no music, no interruptions. Let your mind wander freely. At first, this might feel uncomfortable. But over time, you will notice clearer thinking, new ideas, and deeper problem-solving abilities. How to use silence for creative breakthroughs. If you're stuck on a problem or looking for inspiration, step away from distractions. Enter a quiet space. Let your mind relax and wander. Often, the best ideas come not when we force them, but when we give them space to emerge naturally. The connection between silence and intuition. When you silence external noise, you begin to hear something deeper, your intuition. The best decisions are not made in moments of rush and noise, but in calm reflection. In the next chapter, we will explore how mastering silence improves relationships and makes you more magnetic in social interactions. Chapter 6. The magnetic presence of silence in social interactions. Silence is often misunderstood in social settings. Many assume that being quiet makes them appear shy or uninteresting. In reality, silence, when used correctly, makes you more magnetic, more mysterious, and more respected. Why people talk too much? Most people feel uncomfortable with silence in conversations. They fill gaps with unnecessary words, overshare, or try too hard to impress others. This often weakens their presence instead of strengthening it. Those who master silence, however, know that speaking less, and at the right moments, creates an aura of confidence and control. The power of speaking less. When you use silence strategically, you Make people listen more intently. When you speak less, your words gain weight. Appear more composed and self-assured. Confidence isn't about talking the most, it's about speaking with purpose. Create an air of mystery. People are drawn to those who don't reveal everything at once. Practical exercise, the 3-second pause. Before responding in any conversation, pause for 3 seconds. This prevents you from speaking impulsively. It makes the other person feel that you're considering their words carefully. It naturally makes you seem more thoughtful and confident. Using silence to influence others. Silence isn't just about listening, it's a tool of influence. In negotiations, remaining silent after stating your position puts pressure on the other person to speak first. In arguments, silence forces the other side to rethink their stance. In leadership, a quiet presence commands more respect than loud words. How to be silent without being awkward. Some people fear that silence in conversation will make them seem boring. But the key is balanced silence, staying engaged without over-talking. Use eye contact and body language to show you're present. Nod, smile, and give small verbal cues, like I see or interesting, to keep the conversation flowing. Ask meaningful questions instead of rushing to fill space. The silent charisma of powerful people. Think of the most charismatic people in history. They didn't rush to speak. They knew the power of the well-timed pause, the deliberate response, and the quiet confidence that made others lean in. In the next chapter, we will explore how silence can be used as a weapon in conflicts, arguments, and power struggles. Chapter 7. Silence as a weapon, winning arguments without saying a word. Silence is not just a tool for deep thinking or social presence, it can also be a powerful weapon in conflicts, arguments, and negotiations. Those who know how to use silence strategically often gain the upper hand without ever raising their voice. Why people feel the need to argue. Most arguments escalate because people feel the urge to defend themselves, prove they're right, or win at all costs. But in many cases, talking more actually weakens your position. Those who master the art of strategic silence understand that. The less you say, the less ammunition you give your opponent. Silence makes others uncomfortable, often leading them to reveal too much. Pausing before responding gives you time to think and maintain control. The power of the silent response. One of the best ways to disarm someone in an argument is by simply refusing to engage emotionally. Instead of reacting immediately, pause. Let the other person's words hang in the air. Observe. Watch their body language, tone, and emotional state. Respond only when necessary, and keep it brief. Silence forces the other person to carry the weight of the conversation, often making them over-explain or contradict themselves. How silence disarms aggression. When someone is trying to provoke you, the worst thing you can do is react emotionally. Silence neutralizes their power. If someone insults you, don't react, just look at them calmly. If someone pressures you for a response, stay silent and let them fill the void. If someone is angry, let them vent without interruption. Their energy will burn out faster. The result? You remain in control while they exhaust themselves. Practical exercise, the 10-second rule. Next time you find yourself in a heated situation, try this. Instead of responding immediately, stay completely silent for 10 seconds. Breathe deeply and maintain eye contact. Watch how the other person reacts. They will likely become uncomfortable or start talking more to fill the space. This simple tactic shifts the power dynamic in your favor. Using silence to dominate negotiations. In negotiations, silence is your greatest advantage. After making a demand, say nothing and let the other person speak first. If they make an offer, pause before responding. This makes them second-guess themselves. If they push you for an answer, stay silent and think. It makes you appear strong and deliberate. The one who speaks the least in a negotiation often walks away with the best deal. When silence speaks louder than words. Some of the most powerful messages are delivered without a single word. A long, steady gaze can communicate dominance. Walking away from an argument can show you refuse to engage in drama. A moment of silence after someone speaks can make your next words more impactful. In the next chapter, we will explore how silence can help you develop self-discipline, mental strength, and inner peace. Chapter 8. Silence as a path to self-discipline and mental strength. In a world that rewards constant action and instant gratification, silence is an underrated path to self-mastery. Those who can sit in silence without distraction gain control over their emotions, impulses, and mental state. Why most people avoid silence? Many people fear silence because it forces them to confront their own thoughts. They distract themselves with noise, entertainment, or constant activity to avoid self-reflection. But true self-discipline begins when you stop running from yourself. Silence trains your mind to resist impulsive reactions. When you practice silence, you learn to pause before acting emotionally. Control your thoughts. Instead of being overwhelmed by mental chatter, you become the observer of your mind. Develop patience. Silence teaches you to be comfortable with waiting, an essential skill for long-term success. The power of silent reflection. Many of history's greatest warriors, leaders, and philosophers used silence as a daily practice for mental clarity and discipline. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote in his journal in complete silence every morning to strengthen his mind. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai, spent long hours in solitude to master his craft and emotions. Naval Ravikant, a modern entrepreneur, credits silent meditation as the key to his discipline and success. By embracing silence, they built unshakable inner strength. Practical exercise, the silent morning. Start your day with 10 minutes of silence before checking your phone, talking, or consuming any media. Sit in a quiet place with no distractions. Let your mind settle without forcing thoughts away. Observe any discomfort and let it pass. Over time, you'll notice increased self-awareness, emotional control, and mental discipline. Silence and the art of emotional control. One of the most powerful signs of self-discipline is emotional stability. Instead of reacting angrily, stay silent and observe your emotions. Instead of complaining, pause and ask yourself what action you can take. Instead of seeking validation, practice silent self-assurance. Those who master silence rarely overreact. They control their energy and choose their responses wisely. How to train yourself to be comfortable in silence. If silence feels uncomfortable at first, try these steps. Spend 5 to 10 minutes a day in silence. No distractions, just sitting with your thoughts. Reduce unnecessary talking. Practice listening more than you speak. Avoid filling every moment with entertainment. Let your mind have quiet space to think. These small habits will strengthen your mental discipline over time. Mastering the silent mind. A person who is comfortable in silence is in control of themselves. They are not driven by external chaos, but by internal strength. In the next chapter, we will explore how silence leads to deeper connections and more meaningful relationships. Chapter 9. Silence and the Art of Deep Connections. Most people assume that strong relationships are built through constant conversation. But true connection often comes from something deeper: silence. The ability to be present without filling every moment with words creates a powerful bond between people. Why people fear silence in relationships. Many fear that silence means disinterest, awkwardness, or emotional distance. They rush to fill every pause, believing that more talking equals more connection. But in reality, deep bonds form when two people can be comfortable in each other's silence. Silence in relationships allows for genuine presence. You focus on the other person rather than thinking of what to say next. Emotional depth. Sometimes, words are unnecessary. Silence allows emotions to be felt fully. Trust and comfort. The strongest relationships don't need constant conversation to feel secure. How to use silence to strengthen relationships. Instead of fearing silence, embrace it in different ways. Silent listening. Truly listen without interrupting or planning your response. Shared quiet moments. Enjoy peaceful silence together, whether it's a walk, a drive, or just sitting side by side. Pausing before responding. Give your words weight by taking a moment before speaking. These small changes can transform how deeply you connect with others. Silence in romantic relationships. In love, silence can be more intimate than words. A knowing glance, a quiet moment of understanding, or simply sitting together in peace can say more than any conversation. Practical tips. If your partner is upset, don't rush to fix the problem, just be present in silence. If you've had an argument, sometimes silence allows both of you to process emotions before speaking again. If you truly enjoy someone's company, you don't need to fill every moment with words, just being together is enough. Silence in friendships and social settings. Strong friendships don't require constant talking. The ability to be silent together without discomfort is a sign of deep trust. Try this. The next time you're with a friend, allow moments of silence instead of feeling pressure to entertain. If someone is venting, listen silently instead of immediately offering advice. Use silence to observe group dynamics before speaking. This makes your words more impactful. Silence in difficult conversations. Silence can also make hard conversations easier. If someone criticizes you, pause before reacting. This prevents emotional outbursts. If you're discussing something serious, allow moments of silence. It gives both sides time to think. If someone shares something vulnerable, Don't rush to respond. Let them feel heard. The ultimate sign of connection, comfortable silence. The deepest relationships don't rely on endless talking. They thrive in the quiet moments where no words are needed. In the final chapter, we will explore how silence leads to personal wisdom and inner peace, making it one of life's greatest strengths. Chapter 10. Silence is the gateway to wisdom and inner peace. In a noisy world, silence is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth, wisdom, and inner peace. The greatest minds throughout history, from philosophers to spiritual leaders, have used silence to find clarity and understand life on a deeper level. Why true wisdom begins in silence. Most people associate wisdom with knowledge, but true wisdom comes from understanding. And understanding is only possible when the mind is still enough to reflect. When you embrace silence, you develop clarity. Without constant noise, you can see things as they truly are. Deeper thinking. Silence allows your mind to process ideas fully instead of reacting impulsively. A sense of calm. Wisdom isn't just about knowing, it's about maintaining peace in the face of chaos. The ancient practice of silence for inner peace. Across cultures, silence has been a gateway to enlightenment. Stoic philosophers like Seneca and Epictetus practiced silence to master self-control and detach from emotions. Buddhist monks use silence as a form of meditation to quiet the mind and achieve inner harmony. Leaders like Gandhi believed that regular silence helped them make wise and impactful decisions. By incorporating silence into your life, you can access the same inner stillness that these great minds cultivated. Practical exercise, the daily silence ritual. To develop wisdom and inner peace, try this. Set aside 10 to 15 minutes each day for complete silence. No phone, no distractions, just sit in stillness. Let your thoughts settle without judgment. Observe the patterns of your mind without reacting to them. Over time, this practice will sharpen your self-awareness and mental clarity. The power of silent observation. Most people talk too much and listen too little. But silence teaches you how to observe yourself. You become aware of your habits, emotions, and patterns. Others. You learn more about people when you listen rather than speak. The world. You start to see opportunities and insights that others miss. By becoming an observer, you develop wisdom that others lack. How silence leads to true inner peace. Most stress, anxiety, and frustration come from mental noise. When you learn to be comfortable in silence, you develop emotional resilience. Instead of reacting, you pause. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you find clarity. Instead of searching for distractions, you embrace stillness. People who master silence don't just stay calm, they radiate a quiet confidence that draws others in. Final thought. The silent mind is the strongest mind. True strength doesn't come from how much you say, but from how well you understand. Silence isn't about saying nothing, it's about saying only what truly matters. By embracing silence, you open the door to wisdom, discipline, deep connections, and personal peace. The greatest transformations in life don't happen in noise. They happen in the quiet moments where you finally hear yourself think. This concludes the art of being quiet. But in reality, this is only the beginning. Your journey with silence starts now. Will you listen?